This was it, my big day. Golly, you can't help but feel proud when your whole family remembers. And look at this. Just what I always wanted. And it came along just in time, too, with scenery like this to see and to shoot on our Colorado vacation. Helen, that's my wife, didn't waste a minute getting her clothes together and her suitcase packed. And Bobby was raring to go, too. Whoops, wasn't about to forget those. Susie and friend checked out. Come on now, everyone carries his own bag in this family. Last one out? Me, naturally, with my new camera in hand, of course. What a wonderful trip this turned out to be. Well, I see that we're not the only ones who picked the Colorado Springs area for our big trip. Pikes Peak was the first grand sight we saw, and so much scenery, it was just impossible to catch it all with a camera. Here's downtown Colorado Springs. And this is the famous Broadmoor Hotel, a vacationer's paradise. This hotel is so complete, it's almost a city in itself. When Helen wasn't looking, I took these shots of the pool. Did you ever see such a beautiful diving board? This is the cog railway which runs up Cheyenne Mountain. I put Helen and the kids on it, and then I drove on ahead. There's the famous Ice Palace and the beautiful Broadmoor Golf Course. This is Cheyenne Mountain Road. Ripley called it the world's most crooked highway. What a road to pick for our first mountain drive. We were sure glad to reach the summit with its rustic lodge, and I was ready to take a breather and get my land legs again. And what a view! The Colorado Plains, and way below us, the town of Colorado Springs. On the way down, we stopped at the Shrine of the Sun, built in memory of Will Rogers, famous American humorist and writer. He often climbed here. These guardian dogs near the shrine were imported from China, but this view has been here all the time. It's really breathtaking. Next, Seven Falls, the grandest mile of scenery in Colorado. That's what the sign at the entrance to Cheyenne Canyon claims. The road is surrounded by rock formations, each with a quaint name. You can see the shapes if you look hard. This one's called the Mexican Saddle. We were glad we didn't have to make this climb. That cable car you see there did all the work. It's a short haul, but steep. Down there is where we came from. And you know, the kids were sure those burros were stuffed. But we proved they weren't, didn't we? The falls themselves, and you can count all 7 of them, are spectacular. This is the view from the base of the falls, and it's impressive too. Our travels took us next on the famous Gold Camp Road. This was originally the railroad bed running to Cripple Creek. Look at those turns. Whoops, stay on the track there. It must have been quite a haul for those old locomotives. This is the famous and exclusive Garden of the Gods Club. This beautiful club is at the edge of a wide mesa with a wonderful view of the Garden of the Gods itself. This is the first of the strange rock formations we saw. Most of them have names, and with a little imagination, you can actually see the figures that give to each one its name. This little spot is a favorite with visitors to the Garden of the Gods. From the balconies, you can get a full view of the entire park. Everyone is in a holiday mood. It's easy to make friends here. It looked as though something special was starting, so we went over. They were doing one of their ancient ceremonial dances. The dance is centuries old, so we were told. We were able to see how some of these rock formations got their names. For instance, at the very tip-top of this big rock is a formation called the Kissing Camels. It's a favorite with amateur climbers. This one is known as the Devil's Footprint. And here's the Scotsman, or as some people call it, Sir Harry Lauder. And there's famous Balanced Rock and Steamboat Rock. Balanced Rock gets its picture taken thousands of times every year. This is Williams Canyon, road to the Cave of the Winds. The sign at the Narrows here kind of has us wondering if we could make it. But like it says, a million others have, and we did too. But you do sort of feel like holding your breath to make yourself skinnier until you get through. We were able to see the entrance to the Cave of the Winds up ahead. The North Pole. We didn't dare pass up this attraction. The kids couldn't wait to get out of the car. They were all over the place. And then they spotted Santa Claus himself with some of his deer. He took them over to see the North Pole, covered with real frost. The deer here are tame and friendly. And of course there are Santa's helpers, the pretty brownies and elves, and a brightly colored toy village to delight the young and the young in heart. Time now for some real mountain driving, Pikes Peak itself. The peak was first seen by an Army lieutenant by the name of Pike back in the early 1800s. He's supposed to have said that it would never be scaled by man. Well, the grades up to this reservoir were easy. And that's the peak we're headed for. Little by little, the grades get steeper, the curves sharper, and you're going up and up. Halfway up, at Glen Cove, we gave the car a rest. Then on above Glen Cove, we passed Timberline, 11,500 feet up and still climbing. It was just one switchback after another, and one beautiful view like this after another too. But we were determined to make it, so on up we went, and soon there was nothing but rocks and moss and tiny plants. Then as we were driving along, this sign at Bottomless Pit caught our eye, so we stopped here. The pit isn't really bottomless. It's only 2,000 feet straight down. Whew, that's a long way to the bottom. That's the road we came up on, way down there. Each 4th of July, there's a stock car race up this road, and they tell me those fellows do 100 miles an hour over some of those stretches. Finally, this welcome sight. We'd made it to the top of the peak. This is a little like being on top of the world. It came as kind of a surprise to see so many people here atop this famous mountain. The view, it was spectacular in all directions. To the west, mountains and more mountains just as far as the eye can see. And off to the east, there's Colorado Springs, way down there below us. When the skies are clear, they say you can see all the way to Kansas across these plains. But the day we were there, these rain clouds were forming, and they made kind of a scenic beauty all their own. So after a final look around, we headed for home. It was quite an experience.